The German Ninth Army had found itself in an increasingly desperate situation during the opening moves of the Battle of Berlin. On the 16th of April 1945, three powerful Soviet fronts attacked across the Oder-Neisse line east of Berlin. By the 20th of April, Soviet forces had pierced the German defences in two places, and, moving quickly, Soviet armoured and infantry forces had begun to surround beleaguered Berlin. The main Soviet breakthrough was north of the town of Kustrin on the Oder's west bank. An ever-widening gap grew between the Ninth Army and the nearby 4th Panzer Army, and within 2 days the Red Army controlled the area south of Frankfurt under Oder. General Theodor Büsser's Ninth Army was pushed back towards the south of Berlin. Hitler's hold-fast order exposed the Ninth Army to encirclement, and ignoring Hitler's order, Colonel General Gotthard Heinrici, who commanded Army Group Vistula, which contained the Ninth Army and the 4th Panzer Army, issued orders to Büsser to pull his army back and withdraw westwards. But by this time it was too late. To the north of Berlin, the only real defence was SS Obergruppenführer Felix Steiner's 3rd SS Panzer Corps, which itself was in a poor understrength and combat-worn condition. By the afternoon of the 20th of April, Hitler's last birthday, Soviet tanks had reached Berlin's outskirts. Hitler appeared in public for the final time that afternoon, when he laboriously climbed the steps from his bunker to decorate Hitler Youths in the Reich Chancellery Garden and receive birthday greetings from the other Nazi leaders at the door to the Winter Garden, before returning to his subterranean lair. His focus now became the relief of Berlin. This was now urgent, as by the morning of the 21st of April, central Berlin was under long-range Soviet artillery fire. Working off the situation map in his bunker, Hitler ordered Steiner to launch a counterattack from the northeast of the city. At the same time, Büsser's Ninth Army to the south was ordered to reorganize itself and establish a defensive line from the towns of Königs Wusterhausen to Cottbus. Then the Ninth was to attack Marshal Konyev's armoured spearheads, cut them off and destroy them. On paper, these German armies looked impressive, but in reality they were short of supplies, ammunition, tanks, and above all combat-experienced personnel, many of the divisions having been bled white by constant combat, their ranks refilled with men from many sources, including teenagers, convalescents, Luftwaffe ground crews, and the smashed-up remnants of former divisions. SS Obergruppenführer Steiner, commanding the 3rd SS Panzer Corps, informed Hitler that his forces were too weak to conduct such an operation against so formidable an opponent, but he was ignored. Colonel General Heinrici told Hitler that far from attacking, the Ninth needed to withdraw immediately or be enveloped by the Soviet tidal wave and destroyed. Heinrici told Hitler that due to strong Soviet forces between it and Berlin, the Ninth Army could not reach the city to bolster its defences. It must instead fall back west. All of this fell on deaf ears concerning Hitler. On the 22nd of April, Hitler had what amounted to a nervous breakdown at the afternoon situation conference in his bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery, when he was informed that Steiner had not made his attack. In order to raise Hitler's spirits, Colonel General Alfred Jodl, the Wehrmacht Chief of Staff, told him that General Wenck's 12th Army, facing the Americans on the Elbe River west of Berlin, could be turned around and used to relieve the Ninth Army. Together they could then relieve Berlin. In my recent video on Wenck's failed attempts to reach the Ninth Army, link in the end screen, I outlined how Wenck disregarded Hitler's insane order and instead tried to create an escape corridor for the surrounded Ninth Army through Soviet lines to the 12th Army's positions, and thence on to the US lines on the Elbe River. From the Ninth Army's perspective, their best chance of avoiding Soviet captivity was to break out west towards the 12th Army. To this end, Busse ordered the creation of battle groups to try and punch west through the strong Soviet forces. At this time, the Ninth Army numbered about 80,000 men from four main units: the 11th SS Panzer Corps, the 5th SS Mountain Corps, the 5th Corps, and the Frankfurt Underorder Garrison. There were only about 79 tanks remaining operational. The strongest units were the divisions of the 11th SS Panzer Corps, with about 36 tanks. Included in this number were 14 powerful Tiger IIs, the 502nd Heavy SS Panzer Battalion. Soviet forces facing the Ninth Army numbered some 280,000 men and 280 tanks and self-propelled guns, plus massive artillery and air support. The Ninth Army faced being battered to pieces in its pocket, or being destroyed trying to break out west to the Americans. General Busse chose the latter option, as it was at least giving his men some chance of avoiding Soviet captivity. General Wenck's 12th Army attack commenced on the 25th of April and managed to push forward to the town of Belitz, holding on to German positions close to Potsdam. General Busse's problem was that his rear guard was in constant contact with the enemy, making withdrawal difficult. He would have to fight front and rear as the Ninth Army slowly moved west. The Ninth Army was also critically short of food and, importantly, fuel for its remaining panzers and vehicles. Busse planned to use his remaining armour to punch through the rear of the Soviet Marshal Konyev's powerful force that was attacking Berlin. The artillery had sufficient ammunition for one final barrage, then the guns would be spiked. The Ninth Army held positions in an area of lakes and gloomy pine forest southwest of Fürstenwalde, encircled by both Konyev's 1st Ukrainian Front and Marshal Zhukov's 1st Belarusian Front. The only viable route for Busse's army was to cross the Berlin to Dresden Autobahn south of the lakes at Teupitz. On the 25th of April, Konyev rushed reinforcements in to block this obvious route, occupying the forest. But the Soviet line was not consistent. A gap existed near the town of Barut. The first Ninth Army breakout attempt was timed to coincide with the 12th Army's offensive east. On the evening of the 25th of April, two battle groups attempted to break out towards the important road junction town of Barut. Kampfgruppe von Luck, consisting of the remains of the 21st Panzer Division, down to a handful of Panthers, Panzer IVs and half-tracks, and Kampfgruppe Pipkorn, named for the commander of the 35th SS and Police Grenadier Division. Part of this force managed to penetrate through the gap between the two Soviet armies, cross Reichsstrasse 96 and reach the Barut to Zossen Road, which was one of the main supply routes for Soviet forces fighting in Berlin. The Soviet 50th and 96th Guards Rifle Divisions counterattacked. The German vanguard that managed to cross the Autobahn was spotted by a Luftwaffe Fieseler Storch air reconnaissance aircraft and reported to the Führerbunker. Hitler realized that Busse was disregarding his orders and simply heading west. Some frantic signals were sent to order the Ninth Army to head for Berlin, but Busse did not acknowledge receipt or reply. On the 27th of April, the Ninth Army resumed its attacks on two routes. In the north, a German Kampfgruppe pushed on from Teupitz, while in the south, another approached Barut. The northern attack force smashed into the 54th Guards Rifle Division, using what heavy tanks remained, and captured the town of Zechamsee, even managing to encircle part of the Soviet 160th Rifle Regiment. The southern thrust encircled the 291st Guards Rifle Regiment in Radeland, but the Soviets held out in desperate street fighting until relieved. The Ninth Army losses were extremely heavy. In the meantime, the first breakout group that had managed to get across the Autobahn on the 26th of April made it to the forest at Kummersdorf, which was designated the main rendezvous point for all escaping Ninth Army groups. The night of the 28th of April witnessed another strong German push to get out of the Halbe area. A Kampfgruppe got through the defensive positions of the 50th Guards Rifle Division, but more Soviet reinforcements constructed fresh defenses in the forest. The Soviets were trying to break the Ninth Army up into small pockets that could be more easily eliminated. Artillery, and particularly air attack, was relentless and devastating. But though exhausted and often lost, the Germans pressed on, fearful of capture. On the 28th and 29th of April, heavy fighting took place at Halba as the Soviets sought to crush the Germans holding it. Thousands died. By the 29th of April, most of the panzers had been destroyed or abandoned due to lack of fuel. Long lines of smashed or abandoned German transports and armoured vehicles littered the forest roads, and everywhere the corpses of German soldiers and civilians lay. At least 30,000 Ninth Army soldiers died in the Halba forest battles, and an unknown number of civilians, perhaps as many as 10,000. Over 20,000 Red Army soldiers were killed as well. Thousands more surrendered. But against all the odds, the German vanguard managed to link up with the 12th Army, still holding on to its hard-won positions at Belitz. Over a few days, some 25,000 members of the 9th Army and a few thousand civilians passed into the 12th Army's sector and retreated with it to the Elbe River to surrender to the Americans. Among them was General Busse. He was released in 1948 and became West Germany's Director of Civil Defense and the author of military history books. He died in 1986, aged 88. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share, and also visit my audiobook channel, War Stories with Mark Felton. You can also help to support both of my channels at PayPal and Patreon, details in the description box below.